To wit, player counts will always be a worthless stat. MAU2, while interesting, is also misdirection. For instance, PlayStation alone drives more revenue than all of Microsoft Gaming with a quarter of the cumulative MAU. To these corps, if it's not dollars and cents, it's pure marketing. Now, this is him citing basically a quote from Christopher Drink's interview with someone about Indiana Jones. But I'm here to tell you that I'm not convinced that Colin Moriarty actually believes this last statement that he makes. Now, in theory, you may say, but VG, I mean, it's common sense that these companies actually like money. But the way Colin Moriarty and a lot of other folk who are more pro PlayStation have been, acting lately, it was very hard for them to convince anybody that they actually did believe that. Because remember, he said Helldivers 2 will never go to Xbox. Because in his mind, he never could believe that dollars and cents would be a motivation for PlayStation to basically tweak its strategy of ignore Xbox. I'm telling you, he's the one who basically got the entire framing put on him because he was on, record saying that. Why would he have ever thought that? Because he thought that there's no way that PlayStation would chase money that far. Another thing, too, with the MAU question and the MAU problem is a lot of folk don't realize these companies that make billions of dollars on gamers actually study gamers' behaviors. And taking into account player counts and MAUs is how they're able to go ahead and map how gamers are interacting with their titles. You see, gamer behavior is exactly why small YouTubers and small podcasts are basically ahead of the curve, while those who have sat and enjoyed the goodwill of gaming fandom are always like 10 steps behind. Because many of us, we actually are watching gamer behavior. That's the difference. Matt Piscatella was always putting data sets out there, and you could look at the data sets and come out to, the immediate conclusion, which is, okay, this game sold more than this game, or this publisher sold more than this publisher. But underneath all of it, listen to me, underneath all of it was a pattern that was very obvious. And that pattern showed that gamers behaved a specific way. These games that they were playing week in, week out was not just let's go ahead and fight another console war, but it was basically showing that the majority of gamers and the patterns was actually expressing that this is the way gaming had been going for a long time. Matt Piscatella even did the 2020 December most played games and juxtaposed it with the 2024 December, and it turned out to be a similar set of games going 5 years straight. In fact, gamer behavior made me actually say and make 2 or 3 videos, I think it was about minimum 2, that PlayStation abandoned the PS4 way too early. And all of a sudden in their investor meeting, after actually pretending like the PS4 doesn't exist, they start talking about cross-generational MAU. Because there's money on that platform. Gamer behavior, meaning they're gamers who couldn't be bothered with buying a new console as long as they're playing their 1 or 2 games, is where we see Marvel Rivals wanting to climb, because you could tell their player base has been declining lately. If you go look at the trend, you can see that Rivals has been dropping very, very carefully. And so them bringing a PlayStation 4 port is not because, we want to support PlayStation 4 alone. It's because they want to make money. So those who have basically pretended and put PlayStation in a position where they seem to be immune, that dollars and cents was not a motivator for them, that their so-called dominance was pretty much keeping them comfortable, not want to come out here and talk about how, dollars and cents is pretty much a big motivator for these companies. We don't believe it. We really don't believe you. Then there are people who are in the comment section saying things like, careful, Long Island Viper, believing in math will get you labeled as a pony. This is from Game Logic. And explaining it, you'll be called a bootlicker. Based on this logic and narrative, I've now come to understand that Pythagoras and Leibniz were ponies centuries before PlayStation even was a thing. Let me go ahead and be very frank. I know this is tongue-in-cheek, but it is simply because we've waved the wand as to the prowesses of these gaming companies being able to carefully map out every single thing we do and how we interact with them, that has made a lot of folk oblivious to how these gaming companies roll. Remember when somebody said Steam is basically a bunch of gamers that spend money like drunken sailors that just buy games and don't play them, and Valve understands it? That's why Valve basically has better profits than PlayStation because they understand that market base. Aha. Player behavior. And it's only in just taking data and understanding how players interact with these games. That's why Valve constantly, every year in, year out, has the top games that are earning and grossing revenue as some of its own games, including everybody else on its own platform. It understands gamer behavior. Go ahead and look at the Steam Best of 2024. You're going to see Dota 2. You're going to see Counter-Strike. They understand gamer behavior. It's more than just FOMO and making everybody look, no. It's a big deal. So when I look at all of this, I have to say, like this person says, it's not a worthless stat because it shows us a disparity in the value of the MAU between platforms. The mistake comes from people thinking they're equal, and granted, that's also by design, by Microsoft. That's not the case gaming since NES. Microsoft isn't doing anything. Microsoft just saw it as a way to be able to calculate gamer behavior. Again, knowing and understanding gamer behavior is something that is in depth into Microsoft's capabilities in staying relevant in the gaming industry. That's why they were the first to put their games on other platforms and have been winning with it, and PlayStation followed suit. It is understanding you. All of you on Twitter, you are data points for them, including those of you that run the big podcasts. They have people basically going ahead and combing through and crawling through all your content, watching how you all behave and how you all react. A $1 trillion company is not going to do such user research? Man, kindly. This person said, look at this. Exactly. Engagement stats without revenue context are empty calories. PlayStation proves that fewer MAUs can still generate far more profit, dollars, not dashboards tell the real story. No. PlayStation themselves, Lin Tao, said that the focus, y'all want to now modify this thing. Hold on. Let's go ahead and go see what PlayStation is saying, because again, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. This is what PlayStation fanboys like to do. They like to go ahead and modify what the big dogs are saying. Then they'll call it marketing when they know that PlayStation is actually on the back foot. They must and can never see PlayStation as anything other than being dominant in a specific sphere. This is what Sony's own Lin Tao, the newly appointed CFO at Sony Interactive Entertainment, said. She revealed that based on the company's latest earnings call, that its shift away from focusing on selling of hardware and more on monthly active users. And then she said selling units was the focus, but now we're focused on monthly active users. The management is focused on engagement and MAU. And then what did she say? This is leading to profitability. But y'all run around with your hands over your ears because you have to actually tell a different story that doesn't exist, because Microsoft is bludgeoning them. The reason Microsoft has basically caught back almost up to the tune of a $4 billion gap when the gap was at $9 billion in terms of revenue is because Microsoft bought existing MAUs, of which those existing MAUs have always funded PlayStation to a huge tune. Remove the Call of Duty money from PlayStation and they crater at $1 billion in revenue and even significantly more in profits. That's what you guys are all missing. If nobody's going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you. Keep thinking this thing that y'all are thinking because you know better than everybody. And everyone's going to be celebrating the demise of every single claim that you make because you're making them in a vacuum, in a bubble that doesn't really help anything. Look at what y'all are saying and look at the CFO probably thinking, are these cats going to run the company or are they going to kind of let me get the job done? Another person says this, 100% agreed. It's essentially like Twitter. You know what? I'm done with this video, man. Y'all keep believing. You know what? Y'all are actually right in your own eyes. I guess maybe Lin Tao, who's probably the person that, worked her face off to get this job, she don't know what she's doing. She should come consult with y'all on Twitter because, Leibniz and freaking Pythagoras. Peace out.